Eleonora, can you tell us about Peter?
Yes, I can. Peter was a fisherman. Who was he? A fisherman. One time was out fishing, and he lifted his nets into the water, caught nothing. And then there he saw the Lord Jesus Christ. Put your nets back into the water. And he did. And it was amazing. He got lots of fish. He needed to ask another boat for help. And the net almost broke. And one time Jesus Christ was sitting with him with a fire and eating fish. And he was talking to Peter and some other people. And he said, one of you will
Betray me.
betray me. And Peter said, no, I would never betray you. But he did. A servant girl came to him. You're one of them. She said, you're one of them, are you? And he's like, no, I don't know him. But she really did. Peter did some bad things, but yes, Jesus did forgive him. Peter saw Jesus after he was resurrected from the dead. Wow, right? He told Peter to go out and tell the land about Jesus. Jesus wanted Peter to be a fisher of men. Come back next time.
Who am I? I am a fisherman. I have been my whole life, and I'm good at it. I can tell you anything you want to know about the Sea of Galilee. I've seen it all. But I can tell you, I've never had a night like that one. I'd been out with the guys all night, and we'd caught nothing. We were just back on shore, washing the nets, when I saw him. He said, put out into the water and let down the nets for a catch. He didn't look like a fisherman, but before I knew what I was doing, I was back in the boat. We went to lift our nets like we'd done all night, but they didn't come up. It's like they were caught on something, but no, they were so full of fish, I had to call help from the next boat. I looked back at him, and he was looking at me, looking through me. He said, don't be afraid. From now on, I'll make you a fisher of men. From that day, I went everywhere he went, and for the first time in my life, I listened while someone else talked. I was learning what the law really meant. I saw amazing things. I walked on a sea I'd sailed since I was a boy. Then came that night. We sat to dinner when the master spoke. One of you will betray me. The others were nervous. Is it me, Lord? Is it me? But I told him, Master, I would never betray you. But he looked sad. His eyes pierced my heart. Peter, before the rooster crows tomorrow morning, you will deny that you even know me 3 times. They came to arrest him in the garden. Judas and a whole crowd armed with swords. The others quailed, but I drew my sword. I'm no soldier. I was aiming for the man's neck. I took off his ear. And the master grabbed my arm. This is not the way, he said. He picked up the man's ear, and to my amazement, he placed it on his head like one might mend a net. And I ran. I followed him to the courtyard. It was dark, but as we warmed ourselves at the fire, the servant girl, she knew me. You were with him, she said. All eyes turned to me. My blood froze. I was cornered like an animal, and I did the only thing I could to escape. I called down curses. I swore I'd never met that man, and I cursed him too, 3 times. Then I turned. The master was looking at me, looking through me. The rooster crowed. I ran and wept. We were like that for days, all of us. Nobody knew what to do. They looked to me, but I had nothing to say. Sunday morning, just after dawn, 3 of our women ran into the room. They could barely speak after running all the way, but they told us the body is gone. I didn't even think. I ran up the door and across the hill toward the tomb. I needed to see. But the tomb was empty. What could it mean? A spark of hope began to light in our hearts, but it flickered like a candle in the wind. Could we dare to hope again? Could it be? We gathered in a locked room, talking in the darkness, when suddenly a light. The door never opened, but there he was, as though he'd always been right there with us. The Master. We fell over each other in our fear. Someone called him a ghost, but he laughed. "I'm hungry," he said. We served him fish. He ate, and began to teach us again, helping us see what we could never understand until we'd seen it with our own eyes. The others were overjoyed, but I knew who I was. For all my boasting, I knew what I did when he needed me the most. So I went home. My old life, my old nets. It would be good to fish again. And that night we caught nothing. I didn't understand. I hadn't forgotten a lifetime of skill in a few years away. I'd never had a night like that, except once. There was a man out on the beach, calling out to us. I couldn't hear at first, but he called again, "Throw your nets on the other side." My heart nearly burst in my chest. I told the others. We lifted the empty nets, threw them to the other side of the boat, and the weight of the fish on the nets almost pulled us overboard, and before I knew it, I was in the water. Not walking this time, but swimming as fast as I could. I didn't know anything else. I only knew it was him, and I had to be with him. He was cooking fish over a fire, and he shared it with me. He didn't talk about my failures, the sins we both knew were there. He'd known all along who I was, and he'd called me anyway. He simply asked, "Peter, do you love me?" 3 times. And 3 times I answered from my heart, "Yes, Lord, you know I do." He didn't need me to be perfect. He'd done that. He wanted me to follow, in all my weakness and failures, out of darkness into light. He wasn't done with me. "Feed my lambs," he said. And so I go, into the dark world, to tell others what he's done for me, like one beggar telling another where to find bread. I go to be a fisher of men.
The main thing we can learn from Peter's life is that even if we do wrong things, which we have, and if you're saying, "Nope, I haven't," that's wrong. It says in the Bible, Romans 3:23, "For all have sinned." But that's another thing. Even though Peter denied Jesus 3 times, that Jesus still forgave him, and he can forgive us too. And Peter didn't even have to do anything to work it off. Peter just had to love Jesus and do what he said. To love him and to basically feed his sheep, to spread the good news, and to take care of God's people. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.